Hey Jeff, welcome to the MasterCard Cup. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. Let that play on through. We'll put you back in your address position, and we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your address position, let's first of all just take a look at your posture. Your spine straight and on a slight tilt. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down, slightly held out in front of you off your slightly vertical spine, and the golf club works out to the ball. So if I were going to work on your golf game, I would revise your posture here. We would work on throwing your tail out and up, pushing your sternum out, up, and forward at the same time. And what that's going to do, it's going to increase the angle to your spine here. Okay? Very important to set that spinal position, because really the entire golf swing should function off that axis. From there we can keep your legs unlocked as they are, but notice by doing this we'd be standing further away from the ball now. And at this point in time, now we go ahead and let your arms hang down just a little bit more and get those hands a little closer to your thighs. So when the club works out to the ball, we're going to increase the angle relationship between your forearms and the golf club here. So we really do need to establish better angles at address. Okay? From here, your alignment looks good. Let's do a little split screen comparison between you and Jordan Spieth. I've got some color-coded lines here on the screen just to use as a visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. Now, something I want to notice about your red and your blue and your yellow lines, they're very vertical and they're very close together. And the reason for this is because you start in a very tall position with your hands pronating, and you're setting your club shaft too steep at address. So if we got you into that yellow position we talked about, your club shaft would be a little bit more on this address plane when we set up to the ball. So it'd be a little bit more probably right there. At that point in time, your yellow line would now be running parallel to it, and it would be situated there. And notice all of a sudden now we would have a lot more space between our red, our blue, and our yellow lines. I'm going to leave these up on the screen because I might refer to them just because the initial ones are really irrelevant. It's because you're positioning yourself in the wrong starting position with respect to your posture, your distance away from the ball, etc. The other concern with your starting position here and just how close you are to the ball through impact, you're going to probably look a little bit jammed, almost like a batter getting fooled by inside pitch. You're just not going to be able to get that club head really expanding through the hitting zone while keeping your body into the golf ball with good angles. So let's go ahead and just look at the golf swing, get a good understanding of what the club's supposed to be doing. We can see with Jordan Spieth here on the left side of the screen, want to draw the club back by turning the shoulders, bringing the arms and hands back as well as the club. And we want the club coming back along the red line on pling. Also in the early stages of the golf swing, we want to incorporate some good wrist hinge into play. So that means we need to transition the club head currently from below and in front of our hands to getting the club head above and behind our hands. Very important transitional move during the takeaway. From here we're now going to work the club from red up towards the blue-yellow V zone. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we either want to have the left arm and the golf club situated on the yellow line, anywhere in between the blue-yellow V zone, or physically even up on blue as we see with Jordan Spieth. We also want to create full shoulder rotation. We want to do this about a stable right leg, all the while maintaining the posture axis we created in our spine. So I do want to point out at this point in time, if we take a look at Jordan Spieth, basically his spine is situated here, let's say around 53 degrees. Well, let's go back down to address. His spine was the exact same position. So that's the whole idea about a golf swing, is that when we rotate upon that axis we achieve with our posture at address. So in your golf swing, we're going to be creating a backswing and a downswing off of a position that just started too vertical. So here we are. Let's watch you draw this club back, which you do with your hands. We see the club coming inside and underneath the swing plane. At this point in time, we got to get some wrist hinge into play, which we do, so the club's now recovered. And let's work this golf club right up to the top. When we finally set the golf club at the top of the backswing, really good turn nice stable right side. Arm geometry is in perfect position relative to your core with the left arm on the yellow line, so that's great. And the club shaft is in good position relative to your arms. It's perhaps a little bit across the line. We can see the club head is a little to the right of that blue-yellow V-zone, but nothing too exaggerated that should create a lot of havoc in your golf swing. There's one thing I want to point out though. Let's take a look at your spine. Your spine right now is in a position about 56 degrees, very much resembling the left side of the screen. I'm also going to go ahead and put a box around your head. I want to pay attention to your forehead and your chin and the top of your head. I'm going to bring you back to address. Watch what happens to your spine and your head. So all of a sudden now, your spine is situated in a position, whoop, let me clear that off. Your spine's situated in a position of about 69 degrees here, and your head's way out of the box. So just notice, when you made your backswing, you actually moved into the position I wanted you to start in. So if you go back to the beginning of this analysis, you will see that that yellow spinal position that we have drawn, that is the position you achieve when you get to the top of your backswing. That position that I drew immediately out of the gate will be the exact same position that I drew on the screen. So if you're going to move to this position, why not start here? Okay? But at this point in time, the problem is that because you didn't start in this position and you move to here, you're too close to the ball. So you're going to have to move back out of this yellow position, back onto red, in order to hit the ball. So let's go ahead and watch the transition back into the ball for Jordan Spieth. Simply want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire the knees and the hips laterally to the target, unwind the core and fire the hands. And in doing so, we want to bring the golf club from the blue-yellow V-zone back down on top of red, which is where the club originated. And that's exactly what we see here with Jordan Spieth. The golf club has returned back to plane. The other thing we want to pay attention to here is the relationship between the lead forearm and the club, and I refer to this as the backwards check mark. This simply means that we're retaining angle coming into the hitting zone because the club head right now is above and behind his hands. So therefore he's going to create a lot of power. He's also going to hit the ball straight due to the fact that, as we've already mentioned, the club returned back to plane, which is a main criteria in producing straight golf shots. Let's watch your transition back into the ball here. So hands drop fairly nicely. We get to this position. I'm going to have to use a different color because we've got a few too many lines up here on the screen. So why don't we go ahead, we'll just use blue. Here's your lead forearm. Get rid of the arrows. Here's your lead forearm. And here's your club shaft. So the great thing is, we have a backwards check mark. Creating some power in your golf swing will not be an issue. The problem right now is that your club head is here and is not returning close enough back to your plane. So you're coming into the ball a little bit steep, and you may end up attacking this ball just a little bit from outside to inside. So if we go ahead and just track the club heads coming into the ball, I do want you to notice with Jordan Spieth, again, his golf club returned to plane here, and it tracks into the golf ball from this red line, from on plane. And as previously stated, this is what produces straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment, lastly assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. So with you, let's go to the next frame, see where the club hits. So the club returns to here, so it's a little bit on top of your plane, gets to the ball, we're just stuck just ever so slightly to the outside. So if we just connect these dots, I'll give you a little bit of a better visual as to just how that club came into the ball. So your golf club never, it returns to your original address plane, but like I said, that original address plane is irrelevant. If we look at the second red line we drew, you're a little bit on top of that. Club never really returns to that plane. The other thing I want to point out is look at your spine and your head. So again, your spine pulled back up into red and out of the yellow box, and it has to because that's where you started. So at this point in time, this is where you've got sort of that pulling up, that jamming looking action through the impact zone. At this point in time, as we carry through the golf shot, as long as the club face squares up pretty decently, should be able to hit a pretty good golf shot because your alignment's pretty good. Your downswing's pretty good. It's just barely maybe over the top, moving on a slight out to in path with a bit of a jammed looking position with your hands and your spine really congested to you. But the club face squares up really nicely here. Looks like the ball's heading in a really good direction, and indicative of what that club face does, whether it releases or stays open, will decide whether or not that ball sort of draws a little or fades a little. Overall, really good athletic motion here from you. Your hands work really, really well. They come back, they fire through. Your core works really well. You coil, you uncoil. You've got great footwork allowing you to get through to a really good finish. Overall athleticism of your golf swing looks excellent. If we just change your starting posture, balance, distance away from the ball, we can learn to function the golf swing off that axis without creating this elevation change where we're moving down and then back up again. So that's going to cause a little bit of inconsistencies with your contact for sure. But overall, your alignment's pretty good, downswing plane's pretty good, club face is pretty good. You should be able to hit some reasonably good golf shots. Anyways, hope you had an awesome day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video. And hope you enjoyed the remainder of the fall here and get a little bit more time to play some golf. Take care.